Hello from Jonathan and from me. Welcome to the programme.
First tonight, the bad weather that's caused havoc to homes and businesses right across the region.
There's been flooding in Essex, holes appearing in roads in Norfolk and damage to crops right across the east.
But the most dramatic events took place in the Suffolk village of Great Livermere. A blacksmith's forge there was destroyed by a tornado.
Well, Malcolm Robertson joins us from Great Livermere now. Malcolm, even by this summer's standards, pretty remarkable stuff.
Absolutely right, Becky. Yes, quite a lot of people were affected by last night's storms. There were strong winds, there was a fair bit of flooding. But here in the village of Great Livermere, there was genuine destruction. Just over 24 hours ago, a tornado ripped through the village, going from west to east. It pulled up trees, it took down branches, and there was general structural damage. But just take a look at what it did to the village forge. You can see the roof is virtually gone, the gable end came down, and the blacksmith's Land Rover was written off. Now, considering he had just nipped away from here for a few minutes across the road for a cup of tea, he believes he's very lucky to have survived this. Today, Great Livermere has been clearing up and counting the cost of 20 seconds of mayhem. 20 seconds in which this small Suffolk village was in the eye of a massive storm. Around 5 o'clock last night, it was struck by a tornado. It's breezy enough today, but nothing compared to yesterday when a tornado swept through here, knocking down this wall, leaving all this rubble, ripping the roof off that barn. An incredibly destructive force unleashed on the heart of the village. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the village carries all the scars of an astonishing event.
We've suffered quite a lot of damage to the house. A few years ago we had the chimney rebuilt, and unfortunately we've lost that, and it went all the way through our stairs and landing, and so inside it's pretty messed up as well. But outside, our outbuildings, which have been here for hundreds of years, have really suffered the brunt of it.
The worst of the damage was to the local forge. Blacksmith Brian Hardman told me it was just a matter of good fortune that he wasn't in there at the time.
It was about 4:30 and just parked my Land Rover outside the back of the forge and lit the forge up, popped across home for a cup of tea, and when an almighty row, like a big roar, sounded like a train really, and then came outside and half the forge was gone.
To give you an idea of how localised it was, Jeff Bursbridge also lives in the village but was completely unaware of the tornado.
I've never heard a thing. As calm as can be at our end.
For a lot of people, last night's storms posed problems. Torrential rain created difficult driving conditions. The sheer volume of water lifted a section of road on Brackendale in Norwich, and this driver certainly had to negotiate treacherous conditions at Billericay in Essex. Farmers were also left cursing the deluge. James Peck's grain harvest at the inappropriately named Dry Drayton near Cambridge has certainly taken a hit.
We haven't actually been able to take anything into the shed yet which has been dry enough to sell. We've had to put everything through a dryer, and the implication of that is we've been drying about 3,500 litres of kerosene a day, which is just under £2,000. So it's quite a financial knock-on effect with the weather at the moment.
It'll be some time before Great Livermere begins to look like it did. They're just thankful here the loss was to property, not people. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News.
So, havoc across the region. What we want to know is, where's our summer gone?
Yeah, where has it gone? Here's someone who should definitely know. Amanda, so what is going on? It certainly doesn't feel right, or are we just a bit too romantic about the summer?
I think you are, yes. No, it has been very unusual, actually. Basically, what's happening at the moment, we've got these areas of low pressure. They're shooting across us, and they're bringing those strong winds and that heavy rain as well. Now, usually for August, we'd normally expect around 50 millimetres of rainfall, but if I just show you this chart here, you can see we've already exceeded that amount. Up to yesterday, we recorded 113 millimetres. That's nearly 4.5 inches at Santon Downham in Suffolk, and large amounts were recorded in Northampton, Epping, Bedford and many more places, and I'm afraid to tell you there is more rain to come tomorrow afternoon. Now, the Met Office are quite concerned, and they have got a weather warning in place as we could see up to 50 millimetres of rainfall in parts of the region, which could lead to some localised flooding. So not looking great in the short term, but I'll have more details on that for you a bit later on.
OK, thank you, I think.
Dear.
Now, thousands of teenagers across the region have been finding out how they've done in their GCSE exams today. For most of them, the news was happy, with another year of record grades.
In the East, 23.3% of papers gained an A or an A-star grade. That's up 0.9% from last year. And the proportion gaining a C or above has risen from 60.2% in 2002 to 70% this year.
But it's not all good news. Students are facing the usual accusations of exams getting easier, and this year there could be a shortage of college places. Neil Bradford reports.
OK, you can all go in now and get your results. Good luck, everybody.
It has been the longest summer these students have ever known. Waiting for this moment has felt like an eternity. Inside each envelope, a piece of paper will determine the next few steps of a young life. For Tembeni Madiga, like so many of her friends, it has been an anxious wait.
Nervous, scared, anxious, scared.
And what's it been like over the summer?
Even worse, because I've just been waiting for this day for ages.
Waiting nervously outside is mum Priscilla, who's sharing in every bit of her daughter's angst.
I can't stand at one place. You know, I'll be moving up and down. I can't stand, I can't sit still, I can't stand still.
For Tembeni's friends at Barnfield South Academy in Luton, their results are a cause for celebration.
Oh, did brilliant. Got A-star in history. Oh my gosh. Everyone's going to be so happy with me.
I'm so happy. I didn't think I was going to get a C in English, which I wouldn't have got into the college I wanted to, but I'm just so happy. I really am now.
Here at Barnfield South Academy in Luton, there's been a 6% increase since last year on the number of students receiving top grades. Now almost a third of the students here receive 5 A-star to C grade GCSEs.
Many of the students from this particular academy come from quite difficult circumstances, but they're amazing kids. They do some fantastic work. We've worked really well with them over the years, and we couldn't have done it without them. This is really their day. It's about them, and they've done an amazing job.
At Chelmsford County High School for Girls in Essex, they were also celebrating their best ever set of results. 99.5% of all students here picked up at least 5 A-star to C grades. For the Ahmed twins, it was a double success, with 22 A-star grades between them.
I'm really pleased because I've been having nightmares for the last few days, so it's just such a relief.
Like most school leavers, Aya and Shirin are now off to study for their A-levels. The number carrying on with education in the East is typical of the rest of the UK, with 84.74% of people staying in education or work-based learning. The highest level of take-up is in central Bedfordshire, where 98% stay in education, and the lowest are Essex and Norfolk, where 82% stay. Back in Luton, and the wait for results has proved too much for one mum.
I'm proud of you. Done really well.
For mum and daughter, the stress has all been worth it. Tembeni's achieved 5 Bs and 4 Cs. Getting the place at college she so desired will not be a problem after all. Neil Bradford, Anglia News, Luton.
Well, great news for Tembeni, but not everyone will be so lucky when it comes to getting a college place, particularly with so many students wanting to stay on in education. Earlier I spoke to Dan Taubman from the University and College Union and started by asking him if there was likely to be a lack of college places for young people as a knock-on effect of the amount of university places going down.
I think there's an indirect knock-on effect of those young people getting their GCSE results who might have looked to be going on to university, looking at other courses in colleges and displacing those students who would have done those courses in normal times.
Right, so a little bit further down the line there'll be an effect. Now, there are 3 main exam boards all competing against each other at the moment. Surely this has to have an effect on exam results?
I don't think so. The exam boards are very carefully regulated by the government agency that does this to ensure that standards are equitable and the same throughout the exam system.
It's the students that you have to feel sorry for in all of this. Say you have a 16, 17-year-old, straight A's or even A stars. Can you take their results seriously now?
I think you can take their results seriously, and I think they're tremendous achievements. But I think what we have to question is whether the government will pump enough money into 16 to 19 education to find places for all those young people who want to continue with their learning.
I'm still getting over 22 A stars from that. Right, a TV